And there we go. It's now, and check it out. I remembered to turn on my microphone. How's it going, everyone? Oh my gosh, we are getting so close to the end of this series. This is, and here's a fancy new word for you, the penultimate episode, the penultimate live stream. Penultimate means second to the last, but it sounds so much more official than second to the last, right? So, hey, I hope you have had a great week. I hope you're looking forward to an even better weekend. And with that, let's go ahead and start playing. So, we've been talking about the rise of capitalism, how capitalism came about. Hey, Panay, how you doing? Panay. And kind of the foundational elements of capitalism. And then we challenged it a bit. We poked at it and we recognized some of the problems that are inherent to this economic system. And then we started to talk about some of the solutions that we are looking at and implementing and have implemented to these problems. And we're still doing that. But now we're going to bring it down to a much more granular level. We're going to get really, really, really micro. We're going to get down to us and capitalism. You and me too. Don't get the impression that I'm sitting here going, oh, you people. No. I'm as much a part of this as anybody else. So, yeah, we're going to talk today about kind of the hidden agenda of capitalism, how it works. Now, to start this off, let me tell you about myself. I'm a success. Don't worry, this is going to have a purpose here, right? So I have a bachelor's, a master's, a PhD, and I'm SPHR certified. I speak 3 languages. I've worked 30 years in the corporate sector. I'm a business professor. I'm a 5-time Ironman finisher. And I own a business, and I'm a business consultant, all that sort of stuff. Okay. So here's what I want to ask you. Why do we want to be perceived as successful? I'm going to go ahead and pause it right now. We want others to view us as successful. Let's just go ahead and assume that pause it for a moment, okay? We want others to perceive us as successful. Why? Why do we want to be perceived as successful? And how do we do this? How do we convey that we are successful? Now, I just went off there and I'm going to keep going, blah, 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 blah. I'm going to keep doing the blah, blah thing. But feel free to throw stuff in the chat. Why we want to be perceived as successful and how we demonstrate, how we put on full display those things that will enable that perception of success. So I said, well, hey, I have all these degrees, all these letters after my name. Letters after a name tend to, connote some level of success. My language skills, my experience, the fact that I've done Ironman and business owner and so on and so forth. These are ways that we try to show some kind of success. I also try to do it in my live streams, okay? By the way, on one hand, I think I'm all that. On the other hand, I know I'm not, and I'm muddling through this life like the rest of us. So just so you know, there is still some semblance of humility in here. I do it in my live streams here. So if I come back over here, I want to be perceived as successful, so the way I dress, but I also want to be perceived as casual and not too terribly uptight. And so the studio is kind of fun. It's kind of a retro look. I'm trying to embrace the fact that I'm an old white male. And so why not lean into kind of the oldness of that and the maleness of it and kind of have this industrial look and so forth? Every once in a while I'll be on YouTube and I see an old person trying to be all hip and wow with all these cool lasers and lights and this modern background. And I'm like, that's incongruent, my friend. You need to lean into your disability. I'm an old white male. That's my disability. I need to lean into it. I'm joking. You get what I'm saying, though, is own who you are and have your brand reflect that. That's part of how I try to demonstrate a level of competence. Sergey, thank you. But, again, we all want to be perceived as successful. Well, now let's talk about this a little bit. I'm going to read a lot today. Not a lot. I'm going to read a fair amount from this guy called Victor Lebeau. No, he's not part of the reading. If you're in 1050, if you're in business 1050 with me or anyone else, this is not part of the reading. This is beyond the reading, right? This is just for you guys. Victor Lebeau was an American economist back in 1955 and highly influential one. Check out this thing he said. The measure of social status, of social acceptance, of prestige is now to be found in our consumptive patterns. The very meaning and significance of our lives today is expressed in consumptive terms. In other words, he says what we need to do is we need to teach the American people, and we'll talk about why here in a moment, to express their prestige and express their success and their worthiness of social acceptance in the way we shop, in the way we buy. And by the way, guys, and I'm still trying to come to terms with this. Yesterday, I bought a pair of shoes that I've been wanting for a couple of years. $250 for this pair of shoes. I have never, ever, ever spent, half that amount on a pair of shoes. And I spent $250. You better believe I'm going to wear them every day of my life for the next 10 years to get the economies of scale. But I wanted the shoes because they express a certain thing in me that I want to express these days. That's this, right? I want to, get some level of social satisfaction out of the way I shop. The shirt and the clothes I wear and so forth, I know the brand name of everything I wear. That's nuts. Because it shouldn't matter. This is LL Bean. My pants are Duluth. My shoes are Echoes. Why do I know this stuff? Because this is kind of how we fit into society. The way we buy and the way we dress and so forth, right? Okay, so Kenya, what are they now? They're, oh gosh, I even had it written down. They're, oh gosh, what were they? Were they X-Force? They were Solomon, I think it was X-Force Tactical, blah, blah. I wrote it in the comments, right? Something like that. Or X-Force, whatever. There's a whole backstory. I'm not going to bore you with the backstory. I have plenty of other stuff to bore you with. I have no shortage of things to bore you with, so I'm not going to bore you on the backstory of the shoes. But the point is, dude, $250, that's freaking highway robbery, all right? So coming back to Lebeau here, So check it out. How do we show that we're a success? It's how we shop. Here's a guy taking his gal out to shop and so forth, and he is trying to show his success and his ability to provide by saying, ooh, I can buy you these things. That is an outward showing of success. I can buy you this stuff. She wants to wear it. I'm presuming that he's shopping for her. I apologize. That's rather stereotypical. So it could very well be the other way around. It could be he's saying, I want that one, sweetheart, because today that's often the way it goes, including in my family. All right. Anyway, and then the person who's wearing it is saying, look at this thing I'm wearing, folks. I look pretty awesome because I'm wearing bling. Bling. You know the word. You know what it means. Bling is an outward showing of our success, and it is expressed in the way we shop. That's capitalism. Okay. Nash says everyone has their own definition of success and what they consider success. Some go for social acceptance. It depends on who you surround yourself with or shown success, social acceptance. Totally agree. And in fact, by the way, you're not the same person you were 10 years ago. And you're not going to be the same person in 10 years, and you're not going to be the same person 10 years after that. The way, Nash, to your point exactly, the way we demonstrate our success, or the way that we feel success, changes as we get older as well. As we change, I should say. Change, okay? Another way that we kind of want to show that we're a success is by emulating others. This is why celebrity endorsements are so successful. Because when a celebrity says, I wear this, we want to emulate their wealth. We want to emulate their style because society perceives these people as successful. We want to be perceived as successful. Therefore, if we emulate them, then their success kind of transfers over on us. That's the idea behind a celebrity endorsement. And yes, there's a reason I'm wearing the watch I am right now and the glasses I'm wearing. As a matter of fact, let's talk about the glasses. Let's talk about my glasses. You see these things? Yeah, these are called glasses. So when I was growing up, these thick black rimmed glasses were the ugliest, nerdiest thing on the face of God's green earth. All right. As a matter of fact, if you Google right now Revenge of the Nerds and look at pictures from Revenge of the Nerds, they're all wearing these black rimmed glasses with this tape here and so forth. They were considered nerd glasses when I was growing up. And so you couldn't catch me dead in these glasses. I never, ever wore them. I wore, wire rim glasses. That's what sophisticated academics would wear, right? Well, you should also know that for a long time, I fancied myself a writer. I wanted to be a writer for a long time. I still write. Occasionally. Of course, I write a ton of nonfiction, the studious stuff. But I also write fiction from time to time. And there's this author I really like, this guy right here, Chuck Palahniuk, okay? Don't know exactly how to pronounce his last name, but we're just going to go with Palahniuk. He wrote a lot of books that I really like. One of them that you would know is Fight Club. He wrote Fight Club. He wrote a ton of others, and I really like them. And one day, I saw this picture, and I was like, oh, those glasses look so cool. Now, do they look good? No, they don't look cool. What looks cool is that they are on the face of a writer that I admire, and I want to emulate that writer. And from that moment on, I thought, those are cool glasses. And so I went off, bought my first pair of black rim glasses, and now for the last 10 years, this is all I've worn. All I've worn. So maybe even longer than that. So I want to emulate people that I admire and allow their success to rub off on me in the way that I dress and so on and so forth. It's for all of us. We all do this, all right? So now let's continue on with Victor Lebeau here, and we'll have some more chat for this one, I promise. Now, you have to understand, at this point, we just came out of World War II. Sure, World War II ended, 8-9 years before, but we have a lot of people coming home, and we have all this industrial capacity. We have industrial capacity because we used to make a lot of tanks and ships and planes, and we got to do something with all of this stuff, right? By the way, good leaders lead through their bench. That is how it becomes successful. Yes, I like it. By helping to build others. Totally like it. Totally like it, Karen. Okay, so let's see what Victor Lebeau says we need to do with all this excess industrial capacity that the country has. Our enormous productive economy demands that we make consumption our way of life, that we convert the buying and use of goods into rituals, that we seek our spiritual satisfactions, our ego satisfactions in consumption. Consumption as a way of life in every facet. Well, think about this for a moment. Let's think ritual. Have you ever, and you're welcome to throw it in the chat or you're welcome to just process it in your brain. Have you ever thought, I'd really like to ask so-and-so out on a date, but I'm broke right now? I have, right back when I was dating. Well, now, what's the problem there? Why is the fact that you're broke, that you don't have any money, why is that a gate to you asking somebody out on a date? Well, because generally speaking, maybe you've been able to break this issue. Generally speaking, a date involves spending money. Going to dinner, going to a movie, going to a show, going to the stores, going to an escape room, going to who knows where. Generally speaking, the courting ritual of dating, and that's what dating is. It is a courting ritual. Generally speaking, the courting ritual of dating requires consumption. It doesn't have to. It doesn't have to. But we have convinced ourselves that to actually ask someone out on a date and just say, I just want to take a walk, it's romantic, it's wonderful, but it's kind of like, oh, you're broke? There's this song back in the day before you were born. Maybe it was around when you were born by TLC, basically saying, Scrubs. The song was Scrubs. And it was basically saying, if you're broke, I have nothing to do with you. And then Billie Eilish has a song right now. I forget the name of her song, but it's basically, you're broke, you have no job, you're nothing. I thought you were really something else, but you're clearly a loser. And so we don't want this impression to come across. So if we're broke, we don't ask someone out. Karen says, funny story, my husband asked me out because he overheard a conversation about me being a cheap date, meaning I loved drives and picnics over movies and expensive dinners. Great. And that was a win-win, right? I love it. Thank you for sharing that. That's cool. So that's just one ritual that we have turned into a function of capitalism. Then, of course, you've got the spiritual. Now, every single December, and you're gonna start hearing this again, folks. Every single December, They say, you know what, Christmas, it's not about Santa Claus and gifts. It's about, love, joy, and Jesus and all that and so forth. You hear that every single year. And by the way, they're right. It's true. Christmas is not about gifts and spending and so forth. It's about being together with family and peace and joy and peace and goodwill on earth toward men and all that. But come on, who are we really kidding? The companies and businesses just try to hang on for dear life all year long, just waiting for November to come along. Because November, December is when they make all their money. They make all their money November and December. I exaggerate, but you know what I'm saying. It's all about gifts. We have turned Christmas into a driving force of the American economy. And if, in fact, it were just about spending time with family and peace and joy and being a cheap date, it wouldn't be a driving force of economy. No, we make sure it really is. Our ego, oh baby, ego. Yeah, we spend for our egos all the time, right? I mean, this room is full of stuff that I don't need, but I like having it. It's really cool, right? This typewriter right here, right? This typewriter is, oh gosh, it's 130 years old, and I always wanted one like that for my studio, so I went off and found one of these on KSL and bought it, and I was all excited. All these things over here and the cool cameras I've got and so forth. This is all ego. This is all ego. So yeah, every aspect of our life is wrapped up in consumerism. All right. Then, of course, we have conspicuous consumption, which is things that we buy specifically because we want people to see it, right? I don't care if anybody ever notices my $250 shoes. I still feel a little nauseous saying that, okay? It's stupid. Anyway, I don't care if anybody ever notices. But if I ever have that Breitling watch, I'll want people to notice. If I'm ever driving a Maserati, you better believe I want people to notice, right? We want people to see our success. All right. Going back to LeBeau here, he says, we need things consumed, burned up, worn out, replaced, and discarded at an ever-increasing pace. So here's the thing. If we're going to have an entire economy and an entire way of life wrapped up in consumerism, then we need to keep purchasing, which means you can't make stuff that lasts forever. You really can't. So there's two ways to make sure that things don't last forever. One is planned obsolescence. Planned obsolescence is in just about everything that's manufactured. Apple recently got in trouble with the EU because, yes, their batteries start to die and the upgrades, the constant updates to the phones slow the phones down and so forth. This is meant to ensure that you really don't want people to keep their phones for more than 3 or 4 years. If you've got a phone that's older than 3 or 4 years, they want to slow it down. They want to make it less effective. Again, it's just about anything. If you research durable goods, that's a term used in the U.S. economy. I think you might Google this. It's either 2 or 4 years. I think it's 2 years. I think the definition of a durable good is something that is intended to last for 2 years or more. I think it's 2. It might be 4. Somebody Google that for me. Regardless, yeah. Are you telling me that 2 years is durable? I mean, I ought to be able to get more than 2 or 4 years out of the use of a washing machine or a lawnmower or a bread maker or a microwave or whatever, right? But no, these things are actually designed to be basically used up and not repaired. They're meant to be replaced. You don't take a phone in to have it repaired. You take a phone in to have it replaced. Now, if you know about the whole fix-it movement, the right to fix it, then you know a whole lot about this, right? But quite often when something breaks, they don't intend for it to be repaired. They want to be replaced. Karen, okay, it's 3 years. It's right in between the two. Okay, I don't believe that 3 years is durable, but that's what they call it. Okay, so now that's planned obsolescence. We also have perceived obsolescence, where the thing is still totally, completely functional, but it's just so last year, and you don't want to be caught dead with it. Okay, now this is the world of fashion. Don't worry, planned obsolescence, perceived. Perceived obsolescence is all over the place, including in our phones, by the way. But perceived obsolescence is the bread and butter of the fashion industry. Sergey, yeah, no, it's the same for Android, Sergey. That's what I run. I run an Android. Same thing. It's same thing for Apple, same thing for Android. Clothes that were in fashion one season are now out of fashion. It's like, whoa. Last I checked, clothes are really just to cover your nakedness and keep you warm. No, that's not the purpose of clothes. If clothes were simply to cover our nakedness and keep you warm, we would all live in sweatpants and sweaters. Every single one of us. We would do everything in sweatpants and sweaters because it covers my nakedness and it keeps me warm. No, clothing is a way of expressing ourselves to, on one hand, be individual, but not so individual that we are pushed out of the collective. Clothing is a way of sending messages that I am one of you, I am part of the community, but I also have my own unique flair. But you don't want that unique flair to go too far because then you're on the website of people of Walmart. That's where a unique flair goes too far. So, but on the other hand, you don't want to dress exactly like everyone else, because then you're an automaton. So fashion is how we constantly skirt this edge and try to make sure we're in, but not in too much. And so that means changing fashion all the time. This brings about fast fashion. Your Forever 21 and your H&M and so forth, fast fashion, meant to be worn 3 or 4 times and then thrown away. Literally. I know. I have a daughter. All right. So, yeah. Okay. So, talking about that idea of being a unique person with Victor Lebeau again, the greater the pressure upon the individual, that this guy right here, I'm an individual, the greater the pressure upon the individual to conform to safe and accepted social standards, the more does he tend to express his aspirations and his individuality in terms of what he wears, drives, eats, his home, his car, his pattern of food servings, his hobbies. Okay, let me put this in English for you. What he said is the more pressure that someone like me, we're going to do me, but it's you too, I'm not the only moron here. The more pressure I feel to conform to society, the more I am going to kind of express my weirdness in other ways. So maybe in the way I dress. A little bit. I express a little weirdness in the way I dress. In what I drive. No, not so much now, but it will be. It'll be coming up. I'll tell you more about that later. But his hobbies. People, this is my hobby. And there's a lot of weirdness going on here, right? This is different. This is not what you normally see. And so this is me trying to be an individual at the same time be part of the collective. And this is done through our consumptive patterns, according to LeBeau. And like I say, you do the same thing too. You do the same thing as well. All right. We're going to end on this last section. It's really easy to say, gosh, this sounds awfully shallow. Here I thought Lon was this like uber deep thinker and so forth, but apparently he's just a shallow person who wants everyone in the world to accept him. It's not as shallow as you might think. Let me show you. So Galbraith, and this actually was from the 1050 reading. If you're a 1050 student, this was in The Dependence Effect by Galbraith. He says, who can say for sure that the deprivation which afflicts him with hunger is more painful than the deprivation which afflicts him with envy for his new neighbor's car? In other words, when you're hungry, you eat. And when you're envious of something, you work to get it. It's just the way it works. So let me show you something here, and we'll end on this. This is called Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I know it's hard to read, so I'll just kind of talk you through it real quick, right? Maslow hypothesized that we have various tiers of needs, and in order for us to feel this sense of satisfaction and thriving in life, what he called self-actualization, we need to have these other tiers met in various spheres. He says the first tier is physiological, this bottom one right here, physiological, which means you need food, water, and shelter. You need food, water, and shelter. If you do not have food, water, shelter, and sleep, then you're not going to be happy. It's just really that simple. If you don't have food, water, shelter, sleep, you're not going to be happy. Okay, so you go off and you get yourself some food, water, and shelter and sleep. He says the next thing you need, though, is security. You need safety because you've accumulated this food, water, and shelter, but now you're afraid it's going to be taken away because you remember what it was like not to have it, and you don't want to go back there. So you want safety. Well, you really can't trust people when you're not feeling safe. If you don't feel safe, you cannot be vulnerable. You cannot make yourself available emotionally to people. And so you're hands off, you're arm's length with everyone. Okay. But eventually we do get safety, which means we now need love and belonging. We need to feel that we have a place in the community, that we are accepted, that we are part of the tribe, and that we are loved and valued. We need this. Okay, now here's the kicker, guys. A lot of what we've talked about today is about attaining love and belonging. We want to belong in the community. We want to show others that we are worthy of love and that our love in turn has value to them. And we are doing this through the way that we consume. And this is important because self-esteem comes after love and belonging. Check this out. If you are feeling lonely, alone, isolated from others, your opinion of yourself, generally speaking, tends to drop. If you feel that you are included, that you are a valued member of the community, and you have friends, and you have belonging in that group, your opinion of yourself tends to go up. Which means in order for us to feel good about ourselves, we need to be part of the community and have love and belonging. And in order to do that, we need to demonstrate to others that we are worthy of that love and belonging. And the way that we demonstrate that we're worthy is by having cool-ass crap. That's how capitalism and consumerism has wormed its way into how we connect with one another and how we feel about ourselves. So, in closing, I know this one went long. I apologize. About 5 or 6 minutes long. We have created an economic system in which the preferred way of expressing ourselves and gaining prestige and social acceptance is in how we spend and consume. And by the way, did you notice the new Batman logo? Yeah, I spent money on that so that I could put it on display. How we spend and consume. So, real quick, in closing, guys, I want to do a couple of plugs real quick. Remember that on Saturday, November 30th at 10 a.m., I have a Thrive in 25 live stream where if you want to set goals with me for 2025, I'm going to go through my goal setting process and actually go through it for myself. And I'd love for you to join me, make it a workshop and so forth. Another thing I'm doing now, and I'm starting this next week, is I am going to have every Tuesday night, the first, second, and fourth Tuesday night, I am going to basically have a study live stream, a study or work with me live stream. It's not on Nutshell Brainery. It's on my other channel. If you go to, YouTube Lon Schiffbauer, just type in at Lon Schiffbauer, no space. By the way, I sent an announcement about this if you're one of my students. And then go to the live tab. It's the Nutshell Compound Work Shift. I don't call it study with me because everybody calls it that. And I don't want to be like everybody else. I want to be different. All right? We talked about this. And then finally, I sent a PDF out about this next semester. I don't know if you're going to be in one of my classes or not, but it doesn't matter. You are all welcome. Next semester, the Friday morning live stream, like what we've done here, is going to be real world ready, essential skills to future-proof your career. So the world is changing. AI is changing things. Automation is changing things. The economy is different. You really need to make sure that you are ready for these changes and that you can compete, and not just compete, but kick ass and take names. We're going to talk about how to do that in the next live stream series. So you are absolutely welcome to attend that. If you're not one of my students and would like a copy of the PDF that lists out all the episodes, just send me an email and I'll send that out to you. Easy as can be. All right? So everyone, there we go. Thank you very much for your engagement and comments and so forth. And I hope you have a great Friday, an even better weekend. And we'll see you next week for our very last live stream where we're going to talk about my comic book collection. Oh, yeah. We're going to talk comic books. Hey, thanks a lot, Karen. We'll see you later. And I'll stick around for a moment or two if you have any questions or comments. Otherwise, we are all set. Have a great weekend. Yeah, I went just a little bit longer, 9 minutes. I like to do between 30 minutes and 45 minutes. We hit 39. I'll take 39. Hey, thanks, Sergey. Thanks, Canyon. We'll see you later. Have a great weekend. All right. Well, I see folks dropping off, so I am going to go ahead and. Oh, here we go. Okay. Hey, Valerie. Great to see you. Great to have you aboard. Doesn't matter that you came late. It's all good. All right, everyone. As per usual, send me an email. Let me know that you were here, and I'll get you the extra credit. And until we talk again next week, have a fantastic day.